Hi, 8th graders. Today we're learning about Venn diagrams. I know some of you probably already know about Venn diagrams or how to create them, but we're just going to go a little bit deeper today and hopefully you learn a little bit more about them. So a Venn diagram, remember to feel free to pause this video whenever kids need to catch up writing. So Venn diagrams are it's a graph that uses circles enclosed in a rectangle to represent different groups. The circles oftentimes overlap and are inside a rectangle. So that's what a Venn diagram looks like. Basically, you have your rectangle with 1, 2, 3, 4, however many circles you need inside. Okay. For our first example, we are looking at class of 50 students, 18 are only in choir, 26 are only in band, and 2 are in both band and choir. We need to draw a Venn diagram to represent the situation. So, of course, we're going to start with that rectangle. And what are the two things we're talking about here? Band and choir. So I'm going to go ahead and label each one of these circles band, and the other one is choir. Okay, from here, there's a really important word that pops up in the sentence that we're given, and it's the word only. And so what that tells us is that 18 of these students are only in choir, so that's not counting the overlap. And 26 are only in band, and that's not counting the overlap. The 2 that are in both band and choir, this is where we want to start. I'm always going to recommend, if you can, to start in the very center. So whether that's 1 overlap or 2 overlaps, that's where we want to start. For this one, it doesn't really matter, but in our next one, we will have an issue if we don't start in the center, potentially. So if 18 are only in choir, we're going to go to our choir circle, and we're just going to write an 18 in there. And if 26 are only in band, we're going to go to our band circle. We're going to write 26 in there. The next thing we want to do is make sure that there weren't any kids that weren't in band or choir. So that means that they weren't in both either. So if we have 50 students, we better have 50 students inside this rectangle. This is like our whole survey, or all the kids we've talked to. So when I add that up, 18 plus 2 plus 26, so 8 plus 2 is 10 plus 6 is 16, and 2 plus 1 plus 1 is 4. That's only 46. So what that means is, over in what I call no man's land, we're going to stick a 4, because that's how many kids weren't in band or choir. Okay, so that helps us with this next question. How many students are not enrolled in either band or choir? And your answer would be 4. And make sure you put a label, students. And that's it for this first one. We made our Venn diagram. We answered the question. Okay, so for our next Venn diagram, we're going to look at sports and band. So in 8th grade, there are 320 students. That's just about accurate here. There are 85 students in band, 200 students are on a sports team, and 60 are in both band and on a sports team. So there's one very important word that's missing in this example, and it's the word only. So this says there are 85 students in band, 200 students are on a sports team. That's not saying only. So when we draw our circles, we're going to have to do some subtraction to figure out how many are only in band and only in sports. So let's go ahead and label these band and sports. And then we always want to start in the center, so we want that overlap, and that's the 60 students that are in both. So we'll go ahead and write 60 right in the center. That's how many are in both. Now, we have 85 students in band, it tells us. So of those 85 in band, 60 of them are included in that band and sports. So we need to figure out what's the difference? So how many are only in band? Well, if we have 85 in band total, and we take away that 60 that are in sports as well, we're going to get 25 kids that are only in band. Now when I add 25 plus 60, I better get 85, and I do. We're going to do the same thing for sports. So if we have 200 students in sports and 60 of them are included in that are also in band, we want to take away that 60 so that we just get the ones that are only in sports, and that's it. So here we're going to get 140 kids that are in just sports. The next thing we want to make sure we check is, did we account for all 320 students, or are there some that aren't in band or in sports? So we're going to add up how many we have total here. 140 plus 60 plus 25. And we get 225. Uh-oh, that's not 320. So what's our difference? Well, our difference is 95 students. So there's 95 this time that are in no man's land that aren't in sports or in band. So that helps us with this last question. How many are not in band and they're also not in sports? That's 95 students that are in neither activity. All right, we are doing a fantastic job with 2 circles in our Venn diagram. Let's skip example 3, and we're going to go ahead and work with multiple circles. This one can be a little tough, so make sure you're paying attention. We have a veterinarian who surveys 26 patrons, so that means the total in our Venn diagram has to be 26. He discovers that 14 have goldfish. Now this does not say only goldfish. 10 have guppy fish and 5 have betta fish. Oh boy, then they give us a whole bunch of information. 4 have gold and guppy, 3 have gold and betta, and 1 has guppy and betta. Okay, we need to take a quick time out and draw our Venn diagram. So we know right now that we have gold, we have guppy, and we have betta. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my goldfish circle gold. I'll have a pink guppy circle and blue for betta. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and label betta, gold, oops, that's purple, and guppy. And just like I said on the last example, we want to make super sure that that we're starting in the very center if we can. So the last sentence says none of the patrons have all 3. So there's the big fat 0 in the middle here. None of them have all 3. Now we want to slowly work our way outside. So we need the guppy gold overlap, the gold betta overlap, and the betta guppy overlap. So let's go backwards a sentence. 3, and 1 has guppy and betta fish. So only 1 in the guppy betta overlap. Here's the guppy betta overlap, the pink and blue circles, and we write a 1. 3 have gold and betta. Since there's a 0 in the middle, we don't need to account for anything in the center there. But 3 have gold and betta. So we go to our gold betta overlap and we write a 3. And then it says, okay, 4 have gold guppy. So we go to the gold guppy overlap and we write a 4. And now we filled in all of our overlaps. So we need to find out how many are only guppy owners, only gold owners, and only betta owners. Just going backwards here. It says 5 have betta fish. Okay, if there's 5 that have betta fish, let's look what all is enclosed in that blue circle. We have a 3, a 0, and a 1. If we add all those together, we've got 4 fish. So that means we have 1 pet owner who only has just betta, and that's it. We're going to keep using this same process. So going backwards a sentence, we have 10 guppy fish. Now we have inside that pink circle a 4, a 0, and a 1. So that means we have 5 already that are accounted for. But there's 10 that have guppies, so that means there's 5 patrons that have only guppy fish. Next, going backwards still, we have 14 that have goldfish. Inside our gold circle, we have a 4, a 0, and a 3. If we add that together, we get 7. So that means that there are 7 patrons who only have goldfish, because 7 plus 7 is 14. So you can always go back and check to make sure your circles are correct. So if we go gold, we should have 14 in that gold circle total. 7 plus 3 is 10, plus 4 is 14. So this one checks out. So we're good with the goldfish. We should have 10 in our guppy circle. A 5, a 4, and a 1, that's 10. Yay, we're good there. And we should have 5 in our beta circle. A 3, a 1, and a 1, that's 5. We're good there. The next thing we want to check is, do we have 26 total patrons? So we need to add up all these circles. So let's start with the goldfish, because we know there's 14. And we just checked to make sure. So we know we have 14 goldfish, 10 guppy fish. I'm just getting this right from your explanation here. And then we have 5 beta fish. Because I just checked, I can do that. So this is only a total of 29 fish. And, oopsie, what did I do? Oh my goodness, I counted the overlap. We don't want to count that overlap. Okay, sorry about that. So let's try that again. We need to add up all of our circles. We have a 7, and all of our circles separately, and then our overlaps. So our 7, a 4, a 3, a 5, a 1, and a 1. Okay, when we add all this together, 7 plus 4, we get 11, plus 3 is 14, plus 5, we have 19, plus 2 more, we have 21. There we go, that's better. So if we have 21 total, that means in no man's land, so they don't own guppy, gold, or beta fish, we have 5. Okay, so there are 5 people who aren't crazy and don't bring their fish to the vet. That's great. How many do not have fish? That's 5 patrons. Okay, so that's all I have for you for today for Venn diagrams. Feel free to re-watch this video on my Office 365 site if you have any questions. Otherwise, go ahead and get started on your homework.